Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about what ultimately led to Amanda going to the hospital and receiving the diagnosis she did. We're going to do our very best to do it under 10 minutes because we've tried multiple times and multiple times we have far exceeded it because some of us can get a little long-winded in their storytelling.
Okay.
So I will let Amanda take it away from there.
Okay. So in March of this year, I moved my desk at work and everything happened to be on my right hand side. And while I was in front of my desk at work, I felt my right hand go completely numb. So much so that it didn't even feel like my own hand. I looked over at my coworker Christy and I said, something's weird. And she told me we need to call 911. Told her that absolutely not, like it's not a big deal. I just think that, you know, for whatever reason, my hand feels a little weak. And that was it. 10 days go by. I am writing on my whiteboard at home and I put the pen cap on, but it was like this. I mean, it was just completely off. And I once again was like, well, that's weird, but you know, am I distracted or is something going on? So that was the end of March and nothing again until the second week of May did anything happen. And I started to get these very, very subtle, I wouldn't have even called them a headache, but just like felt like sinus pressure. Felt like everyone I knew was talking about it was hot, then it was cold, then it was hot, and then it was cold, and everyone with really bad sinuses were talking about just how affected they were over it. And so I actually got Flonase for the first time, thinking like, oh, this is gonna help my headaches, and it wasn't even a headache. Like, that was the hard thing. I wasn't taking any pain relievers, nothing. And every day when I would sit up at work, I would kind of have to blow my nose, get the pressure release, and that was it. It was so subtle. And then, so that was a Monday. Tuesday, kind of the same story hits. Wednesday, I finally actually tell my coworker, like, I feel a little off. I can't really figure out what's going on, but I think it's this like small, and I wasn't even calling it wasn't even a migraine. It was just something subtle that I knew. I'm like, this feels a little different. And my coworkers tell me, why don't you go to urgent care? Because see what's going on. So I go to urgent care and within 3 minutes I get diagnosed with TMJ, which is hilarious because I work for a dentist. I could have, he could have easily told me that that's what's going on. And I was thinking, okay, here's the guy in the white coat saying you have TMJ and you're off. Like, here's some muscle relaxers and you're good to go.
And so you did no tests, really nothing like that, just basically said you're stressed out and chill.
Absolutely. Like, good luck.
How did you feel from that? Did you feel like you were dismissed? Did you feel like it was...
I would actually say at first, I'm like, oh, how funny is this? Because I work for a dentist. But then I was like, that's not it. Like, that felt wrong to me. Like, that just felt off. I wouldn't have called it a diagnosis, but just like recommendation.
Recommendation. That's a good distinction. I like that.
And then, so that was a Thursday. And then that Saturday, I finally called one of my really good friends. And I asked him if he could do a massage because I just felt off. And I was also training for a multi-day ultra endurance event, and this week in particular happened to be our recovery week. So I could not explain why I was not recovering at all during the recovery week at all. And so my friend was like, you're super tight. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I really think you do need to rest. I felt great come Sunday morning. I felt really good. No headaches, no pressure. And I even did a 5-mile hike. Felt great. Then I got to my car, totally fine. And then when I got out of my car, my leg buckled a little bit. So much so that I was like, okay, that's odd. And I was thinking the whole time it closed, because you can, like, you know, not fake everything, but, you know, make a reason for everything. But I just thought, oh, I was really undertrained that week. I probably wasn't moving as much.
First time back out.
Yeah. And so I just played it easy. Then I got off the couch and my leg buckled, and then it buckled again. So much so that I actually fell onto all fours because I didn't want to fall. And then that was kind of the start of the journey.
Yeah, so we went to the ER after that. Did it make it harder for you feel like, to go back to the hospital?
Totally.
Because you were dismissed just a few days before?
Yeah, and I just thought, I'm kind of, it's odd enough for me to go back to the hospital in general, but to go back after a couple days and really what was not fascinating, but was so interesting was the moment I decided to get into the car to go to the ER. It was like every part of my intuition went, something is very off.
Yeah, you definitely knew going there that things were going to be different, and we'll save that whole story about actually getting diagnosed and everything that transpired afterwards for a different time, because we want to stay on our time integrity here. But I think a few things that are really just kind of key takeaways with this, and then I'll let you fill in afterwards, is number one, how important it is to trust your intuition. There is a knowingness inside of each of us that unfortunately I think many of us have been taught to suppress or ignore. You turn on the TV, there's going to be a dozen commercials for Dayquil and other kind of crap like that tells you to mask your symptoms. You know, that cultural toxicity of, you know, big boys, big girls, don't cry, suck it up, stiff upper lip, power through, grind it out, all that kind of crap. I think that really encourages symptom, call it suppression or ignoring, which is ultimately going to then make it even more harder or challenging for people to go and get diagnostic care and treatment that they need to be able to find out when something really is going on. And number two, if you're in any sort of authoritative position with people, typically people who are going to come to you for help are often coming there at a very vulnerable space and time in their life. And they might be scared, they might be fearful, and why it may be a Saturday or a Thursday for you, why you may have stuff going on in your life, and why we can all appreciate that there are way more patients than there are practitioners and caregivers out there, and that's an unfortunate byproduct of a screwed up system. Just remember that is a vulnerable human being coming to you for help, and sometimes the gift that you can give to them is not even an answer, but it's just the grace of your time. It's your presence. And that presence, while you may not get the diagnosis right every time, what it can do is it can empower somebody to not have fear and hesitation to go back again, or to ignore the symptoms on the road, because you could have very well done that. And then what could have happened, which is ultimately why we were compelled to do this video today, is Amanda stumbled across a video yesterday, read about a girl, you know, maybe in her early 30s on social media, who had exactly what Amanda had, ignored the symptoms for whatever reason, and then when something kind of happened, it was too late and she died, you know, very quickly. It was a very, very rapid decline, and we're fortunate enough that you have a better chance than most people do with this. She still has a long road to go. Like, this is no way we're talking like everything's perfect now. We have some healing to do here still. This is the journey, and so we keep saying it. But because you were willing to listen to that, you trusted your intuition, you weren't willing to accept no from the first authority figure you came across. You trusted in that knowingness, you faced the fear, the discomfort of doing it, and then you went and got the opinion. And ultimately, I think because of that, when we got to the next hospital, there was nothing visibly wrong right away with the initial test. I was watching and thinking, okay, well, maybe she really is stressed because I'm not seeing anything. But because she was so certain in her knowingness and she was so scared, the doctor gave her the grace of his time, his presence. When the first few rounds of tests didn't show anything, he had her do some other ones, and as soon as he had her do that, it was apparent right away something was wrong. And then you know, things happened very quickly from there. But that happened in many ways because he was willing to give her time, but also she honored her intuition enough to not ignore what was going on, but really do it. And so just one last thing, then I'm gonna kick it back to you. All that being said, I think there's also, if I can encourage you to do a couple things. Number one, if you're in an authoritative position and you are going to be receiving people, give them the grace of your time and presence. Remember, it could be Tuesday for you, but it could be hell for them.
Yeah.
You're the support person in somebody's life, and your friend or your family member or your loved one is going through something, and they know, and they're knowing this, something's off. Encourage them to go and get help. Encourage them to go get checked out. Do not be that person saying, oh, it's just probably fine, sleep it off. My dad just wanted to sleep it off, and he ended up waking up and dying the next day. And maybe if he hadn't just slept it off, if he would have gone and trusted what was wrong and listened to my mom saying go to the hospital, he would still be here. So encourage the people that you love and care about to go and get checked out.
Yeah. Oh, like your body knows, it deeply knows. And whether or not you want to listen to it, I mean, I can't be the call on that, but you have such a deeper understanding and knowingness inside you. I promise you that. I promise you that wholeheartedly. And please listen to that, because yeah, just because you deserve it. Like, you deserve it, period. End of story. And people need to listen to you, and people, yeah, I don't know, I would say that.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to end it. You all deserve it. You all deserve optimal health, to be listened to be seen,
Yeah.
heard, to know that you matter, and to be understood with what you're going through. So we see you all. We see you all supporting us on the journey. We see you as individuals, as humans, as people who are investing your time being here with us today. And we just deeply appreciate you and your continued, your continued camaraderie and support on this with us. I know this isn't necessarily the funnest things to talk about, but the fact that you're here with us really means a lot. And we just love and appreciate each of you. All right, we'll see you next time.